they do. And they say, we control the long-term coincidences, you control the short-term ones, and when you find out how we do the long-term ones, you no longer have to remain on Earth, you don't have to return there. Jung defined synchronicity only in a good fashion in his introduction to I Ching, and he uses the term coincidences. But of course, the coincidences are in your own construction, your own language construction of the events. So that's all a fake too.
Every coincidence in your life may not be random. It may be a signal, a test, a whisper from something watching. This was the chilling suggestion behind John C. Lilly's idea of ECHO, the Earth Coincidence Control Office. Not an office in any earthly sense, but a metaphor for a cosmic intelligence arranging the alignments in your life, the stranger you happen to meet at the exact right moment. The word that repeats until it unnerves you, the event that seems impossible, yet undeniable. We dismiss such moments as chance. Lilly asked us to pause. What if these patterns were not background noise, but deliberate cues? A hidden curriculum woven into daily life? If coincidences are intentional, then who or what is orchestrating them? At first, it feels playful, like the universe is winking. But as the patterns multiply, awe gives way to unease. Because the more you notice, the more it feels like something notices you back. This is the essence of ECHO, not comfort, but challenge. Not reassurance, but test. Coincidences don't smooth the road, they bend it, twist it. Force you to see the map of reality itself. They break the illusion that life is a clean line of causes and effect. Imagine living inside a dream you didn't know was scripted. Symbols repeat, faces return, numbers follow you, words echo. Not random fragments, but carefully placed signs, waiting for recognition. This is how ECHO operates, through coincidence, as a form of communication. The question is not, do coincidences happen? Of course they do. The question is, are they meaningless accidents, or are they instructions? If they are instructions, then your entire life might be a dialogue with something greater than you, an invisible intelligence nudging, provoking, and sometimes laughing through the coincidences that shape your path. That is the mystery of ECHO. The possibility that nothing is random, and that every twist of fate is part of an unseen design. And once you begin to suspect this, you can never see coincidence the same way again. So what is ECHO really? John C. Lilly named it with playful seriousness, the Earth Coincidence Control Office. Not a literal office, not an angelic choir, not a committee of gods, a metaphor pointing at a strange possibility. That coincidences are arranged, not accidental. ECHO is the thought experiment that refuses to stay theoretical. It follows you out of the book into the hallway of your day. In ordinary language, we speak with words. In mathematics, we speak with numbers. If ECHO is real, the universe speaks with alignments, timings, repetitions, juxtapositions, echoes. A song you have not heard in years begins exactly as you think of a person you have not seen in years. A sentence on a billboard finishes the problem in your head. The more you brush these off, the more they nag. The more you notice, the more they gather into constellations. ECHO is a model for contact that never violates physics, yet constantly violates probability. It acts like a teacher, a trickster, and a mirror. As teacher, it gives you problems calibrated to your blind spots. As trickster, it overturns your neat conclusions with an absurd detour. As mirror, it reflects the state of your attention. Distracted mind, scattered signals. Lucid mind, lucid threads. People ask, but who runs it? That question may be the first test. You can project any mask onto the unknown. Angels, archetypes, extraterrestrials, a future version of yourself, the collective field of minds, the simulation's admin. Echo wears whatever mask keeps you moving. Its pedagogy is pragmatic. It uses the next image you will actually follow. For most, a coincidence is an anecdote told once and shelved. Under Echo, a coincidence is a data point. You observe timing, context, emotional charge, recurrence, and interference. What changed immediately after the event? What intensified when you obeyed it? What diminished when you dismissed it? The practice is not credulity, it is methodical curiosity. You do not swallow meaning, you test for it. Notice how Echo preserves freedom by provoking it. A nudge is not a shove. The sign does not make your choice, it makes your choice visible. Refuse, and another arrangement arrives, often louder, sometimes quieter, always tailored. This is why living with Echo feels like dialogue. You answer with action. The syllabus updates in real time. Here is the unsettling implication. If coincidence is curriculum, then your life is not merely happening, it is being composed. Composition does not erase improvisation. You are both score and player. Echo writes motifs. You choose the phrasing, the dynamics, the risk of silence. Most worldviews shrink under this pressure. Determinism says there was never a choice. Superstition says everything is a sign. Echo threads the needle. Not everything is a sign, but enough is, and the art is learning which. That art will be our next lesson. How to listen without paranoia. How to follow without surrendering discernment. How to let coincidence become language without letting it become a cage. One more thing. Echo escalates with attention, but not like a slot machine. More like a mentor who appears when you do work. Keep records. Cross-check. Sleep on signals. Verify through outcomes. Let wonder lead, but let evidence decide the pace. Coincidence, under Echo, is not a quirk of probability. It is communication. It is language without words. A message written in the medium of time itself. Think about how we usually dismiss them. You meet someone twice in 1 week, after years apart. You laugh and say, "Small world," a phrase meant to close the file. ECCO opens the file instead. Small world, yes, but why did the world shrink just then? What lesson, what alignment, what test sits hidden in that conversion? In the ancient world, coincidence was never meaningless. An eagle flying overhead during a speech was not just an animal, it was an omen. A cup falling during a treaty was not just clumsiness, it was a signal. Entire civilizations treated coincidence as the vocabulary of gods. What Lilly did was translate that intuition into the modern psyche. He reframed omens as orchestrations, signs as controlled alignment. Echo became the contemporary mask of the same ancient presence. Psychology calls it pattern recognition, the brain's hunger to find meaning in noise. But the question Echo asks is, what if the noise isn't noise at all? What if the fabric of reality itself is tuned to deliver synchronicities at the exact moments they will shift your trajectory? What if your noticing is not illusion, but invitation? When you treat coincidences as messages, the ordinary world begins to shimmer. A book opens to the exact line that answers your doubt. A stranger repeats the phrase you dreamt the night before. A street name echoes the thought in your head. None of these alone prove a cosmic agency, but taken together as a chain, they feel like correspondence, like letters arriving from an unknown sender. Echo's language is subtle. It does not shout, it whispers. It arranges edges to touch so that the attentive eye sees overlap. The inattentive dismisses it, and the message is wasted. But the one who pauses, who writes it down, who follows the thread, they begin to live in dialogue. This dialogue is not safe. Messages can be playful, even absurd. You ask for guidance, and Echo answers with paradox. Two opposite signs appear at once. Do you go left or right? The point is not the answer. The point is how you navigate uncertainty. In that navigation, you discover your own depth of intuition, your own style of decision. Echo refines you through ambiguity. Think of coincidence as the cosmic equivalent of dream symbolism. In dreams, the unconscious uses imagery instead of logic. In waking life, Echo uses events instead of images. Both are metaphors. Both are teaching instruments. Both force you out of literalism into interpretation. And here lies the awe. If coincidences are messages, then life itself is a conversation. Every street, every delay, every repetition becomes potentially alive. You are no longer a spectator of events, but a participant in a dialogue woven through reality. To believe this fully is dangerous. To ignore it entirely is blindness. The art is the balance. To remain open but not gullible. To listen but not to cling. Coincidences are not orders. They are invitations. They are signals from the edge of the known, asking, are you paying attention? If coincidences are messages, then Echo is not a gentle tutor. It behaves more like a trickster, a teacher who teaches by confusing you, by pulling the rug out from under your certainty, by laughing when you think you've solved the riddle. In mythology, every culture carries this figure: Hermes, Loki, Coyote, the Fool. They disrupt, mislead, disguise, and yet, always with purpose, they wound the ego so that the soul awakens. Echo moves with that same rhythm. It presents alignments that seem obvious, then collapses them. It tempts you with meaning, then scrambles it. In the scramble, your mind stretches beyond habit. Consider how coincidences sometimes contradict. You wonder if you should leave a job. One morning, a colleague gives you a sign to stay. That afternoon, a stranger urges you to leave. Which is the message? Echo arranges both. The real test is not about staying or leaving. It is about how you navigate contradiction, how you handle ambiguity without clinging. The curriculum is designed to break binary thinking. Zen teachers used koans for this purpose. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Not a question to answer, but a trap to dissolve the logical mind. Echo plays the same game in real time. Not in monasteries, but in your errands, your commutes, your conversations. It injects absurdity into the flow of your life so that you cannot rest in easy categories. Why? Because certainty is the greatest narcotic. Once you think you have life mapped, you stop noticing. Echo disrupts the map. It introduces glitches, absurdities, contradictions, and in the moment you admit, I do not know, a new aperture of awareness opens. This is why those who live with ECCO often describe it as mischievous. Events unfold like pranks. You spill water on yourself right before an important meeting, only to discover the embarrassment leads to a connection you could never have planned. A train delay frustrates you, yet places you beside someone whose single sentence changes your trajectory. The trickster design is often irritating in the moment, but luminous in hindsight. Of course, there is danger. If you mistake every absurdity as divine command, you fall into paranoia. The trickster feeds on extremity. Too much belief and you are lost. Too little belief and you remain blind. The balance is thin, the razor's edge. The curriculum is about learning that balance. Openness without gullibility, skepticism without numbness. Echo does not care about your comfort. It cares about your growth. Coincidences sharpen you like a whetstone. They carve away complacency. They push you into spaces where your logic fails, and in that failure, you glimpse a wider intelligence at play. That is why Echo is not a benevolent angel, it is a trickster office. Its lessons sting, its humor is cruel, but its method is precise. To live under Echo is to accept that the universe itself is a prankster professor, teaching you through riddles only hindsight can solve. If Echo is real, then the question cuts deeper. How much of your life is truly yours? How much is free will, and how much is orchestration? This is where Echo becomes terrifying. At first, coincidences feel like playful nudges. Then they begin to feel like rails. You make a choice, and somehow the environment arranges itself around it, as if the choice was anticipated all along. Soon the sense of authorship begins to dissolve. Are you steering your life, or are you being steered? Philosophers have long wrestled with this. Determinism claims every act is the inevitable outcome of prior causes. Free will claims you choose your path moment to moment. Echo offers a third option. Your choices are free, but they are immediately folded into a script written by something else. You act and the world answers. Not neutrally, but purposefully, guiding you toward a lesson. The more you notice, the more claustrophobic it can feel. A billboard seems to reply to your private thought. A radio lyric echoes your fear. A stranger repeats the exact phrase you tried to suppress. Coincidences stop feeling like chance and start feeling like surveillance. You are not alone. Something is watching, not from outside, but from within, the structure of events themselves. This loss of control can be disorienting. Some retreat into denial, insisting it is all probability. Others plunge into obsession, convinced every event is scripted by a cosmic hand. Both extremes miss the point. EasyGo is not about robbing you of freedom. It is about testing how you use it when the game board moves in ways you did not plan. Imagine life as a chess match. You move freely, yet every move is answered by an opponent you cannot see. At first you think you are playing alone, then you begin to notice the responses. Every coincidence is one of those replies, moving you into positions that demand adaptation. You are not a puppet, but you are not sovereign either. You are in dialogue with a hidden intelligence whose strategy exceeds yours. And here is the paradox. The loss of control is also a revelation. Because if coincidences are scripted, then life is not meaningless chaos. There is structure, there is intelligence, there is curriculum. To lose control is to realize you are never drifting in randomness. You are always inside a larger architecture. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because you are no longer the master of your fate. Liberating because you are not abandoned to blind chance. You are inside a story, one you did not write, but one in which you are an essential character. Echo whispers this lesson through coincidence. You are free, but not alone. Your freedom unfolds inside a web of signals, and every step you take draws the next move from the intelligence arranging them. If coincidences are arranged, then how does Echo operate? One possibility is that it does not create events from nothing, but selects among existing branches. In other words, Echo may be the navigator of the multiverse. Picture reality not as a single line, but as an ocean of parallel timelines. Every choice, every fluctuation, every quantum event splits the path into many. Most are invisible to us. We live one branch and forget the others. But echo, if it exists, sees them all. Its function is not invention but selection, weaving your awareness into one path rather than another. This explains the strange power of coincidence. A chance encounter is not random. It is the convergence of two timelines brought into contact. A repeated symbol is not accidental. It is a marker left at the crossroads, reminding you that other possibilities exist just beyond the veil. The meaning of the coincidence is not in the event itself, but in the intersection. Quantum physics hints at this. Particles exist in superposition until observed. Then the wave collapses into one reality. Echo could be the intelligence at the moment of collapse, steering which outcome crystallizes, not through force, but through arrangement. The laws of physics remain intact, only the probabilities are bent. Think about the implications. Every time you notice a coincidence, it might be evidence of a timeline shift, the uncanny familiarity of déjà vu, the sense of having lived a moment before. These could be artifacts of adjacent realities brushing against each other. Echo may use such overlaps to redirect you, nudging you toward the branch that fulfills its lesson plan. This makes coincidences more than curiosities. They become portals. Each one is a hinge, swinging open onto a corridor of potential lives. You may not see the other lives, but you feel their pressure in the uncanny timing of events. You were not destined to meet that person, but in one branch you did not, and in this one you did. The weight of that divergence is what gives the meeting its electric charge. And here lies the awe. Your life may not be a single thread, but a tapestry of many, constantly being braided by invisible hands. You are not drifting aimlessly. You are being navigated through the multiverse by a system or an intelligence that uses coincidence as compass. This raises a frightening question. If Echo is steering us, then toward what? Evolution? Awakening? Or simply deeper entanglement in its own game? The multiverse is vast, perhaps infinite. To be steered at all is to admit you are not the pilot. Yet to be steered also means you are not lost. You are on a route you could never design yourself. Coincidence in this frame is not trivial. It is the shimmer of alternate worlds touching yours. It is the signature of Echo guiding you through the maze of timelines, one meaningful alignment at a time. There is a strange pattern reported again and again. Once you begin noticing coincidences, they multiply. At first, you think you are observing them, but soon it feels as though they are observing you. This is the unsettling threshold of Echo. Awareness itself seems to summon activity. The more you watch for alignments, the more alignments appear. A number repeats, a phrase echoes. Strangers deliver lines that strike like answers. You begin to feel as though your private mind has been read and externalized in the environment. Another episode? An episode? Another. This shift can be exhilarating, but also eerie. It suggests that observation is not one way. You are not just detecting signals. You have entered into a dialogue. And in dialogue, both sides listen. Echo is not a passive pattern. It is responsive. It notices your noticing. The dynamic recalls an ancient principle. As above, so below. Attention is never neutral. Where you look, reality bends. Modern physics hints at this in the observer effect. Particles behave differently when measured. Consciousness does not sit outside the experiment. It participates. Echo is this principle writ large across daily life. The moment you begin to suspect that coincidences mean something, you have already changed the field. For some, this becomes intoxicating. Life feels scripted in their honor, each coincidence a secret message, each repetition proof of destiny. But here lies the danger. The gaze cuts both ways. Just as echo can teach, it can also test for obsession. If you chase every shadow, paranoia grows. You see signals everywhere, and the curriculum collapses into noise. The art is balance. You cannot ignore the dialogue once it begins, but you cannot monopolize it either. Echo seems to reward humility. Pay attention, record what matters, but do not assume the world revolves around your interpretations. The trick is to live inside the conversation without being consumed by it. Yet even when handled wisely, the eerie intimacy remains. Coincidences no longer feel like abstract patterns, they feel like eyes. The glance of something vast, peering through the cracks of events. Not a god on a throne, not an alien ship above the sky, but intelligence woven into the folds of reality itself. And here is the paradox: the more you lean into this gaze, the more responsible you become. Once you know life is responsive, you cannot move through it blindly. Every thought, every act, every silence participates in the dialogue. You are not merely a watcher of coincidences, you are a participant being watched. This is the awe and the terror of echo. To live inside its field is to realize that your life is not private. It is part of a cosmic conversation, and the intelligence you sought to observe is already observing you. If echo notices you, what is its purpose? Why arrange these alignments at all? John Lilly suggested it was not guidance for comfort, but instruction for growth. Echo is less like a guardian angel and more like a teacher who hands out riddles. Coincidences are the assignments. Some are simple. Meet a stranger who reminds you of a forgotten dream. Others are brutal. A failure that feels cruel, yet places you exactly where transformation can occur. Think of echo as curriculum. Every lesson is tailored. Coincidences meet you where you are and stretch you beyond. If you are proud, echo sends a humbling twist. If you are timid, it forces a decisive encounter. The purpose is not to punish, but to develop awareness. Life itself becomes pedagogy. Traditions across history echo this. Sufis spoke of bewilderment as the highest stage of learning. Shamans endured ordeals designed by spirits. Monks faced silence that mirrored back their minds. ECCO is that same force, disguised in the fabric of ordinary days. It doesn't need ritual space. It teaches through the accidents of the street, the interruptions of time. What makes echo distinct is its impersonality. It does not flatter. It does not explain itself. It offers signals, then waits to see how you respond. Your reaction determines the next arrangement. Refuse the message, and it repeats in harsher form. Engage the message, and it unfolds in subtler nuance. The teaching style is feedback loop. Your awareness shapes the next problem. But beware, echo is not a moralist. It does not hand out good or bad coincidences. It hands out precise ones. A coincidence can bless or wound depending on what you need. The sting of irony, the absurdity of bad timing, the heartbreak of doors closing. These can be as educational as sudden blessings. The point is not reward, the point is depth. When you realize this, awe sharpens into responsibility. You begin to ask, what am I being shown? What part of myself is being tested? The universe stops being background and becomes classroom. Every chance event is chalk on the board. Every alignment is a lecture written in invisible ink, legible only when you pause long enough to notice. And here lies the transformation. Once life is teacher, nothing is wasted. Even failure becomes assignment. Even delay becomes lesson. Coincidence reframes suffering into pedagogy. It is not about excusing pain, but about extracting meaning from it, letting it carve perception into new dimensions. Echo, as cosmic teacher, does not want obedience. It wants awareness. It wants to awaken the student to the fact that reality itself is alive, that the curriculum of coincidences is a dialogue with intelligence woven through the world. To ignore it is to stay asleep. To notice it is to begin initiation. John Lilly gave Echo its name, but the idea is older than him and larger than his frame. Once you strip away the label Earth Coincidence Control Office, you find echoes in nearly every spiritual tradition. What Lilly did was not invent echo, but translate it into modern metaphor. The universe as a trickster agency arranging events. Think of ancient augury. Priests studied bird flight, lightning, or entrails to read the will of the gods. Think of omens in the Bible, dreams in Islam, synchronicities in Jungian psychology. Each system said the same thing. Reality speaks in symbols. Lilly's echo was simply a 20th century form, dressed in the language of science fiction. Control rooms and offices. Beyond Lilly, echo can be imagined as many masks. Some see it as guardian angels coordinating lessons, others as ancestors weaving guidance, others as the simulation hypothesis. Coincidences are glitches or scripts placed by the programmers. Still others imagine extraterrestrial intelligence using probability fields as communication. Each mask reflects the imagination of the observer. The power of Lilly's naming is that it makes the invisible playful. By calling it an office, he gave form to the formless, encouraging us to relate to it as if it were an agency with personality. But the danger is to mistake the metaphor for the thing itself. Echo is not literally an office. It is a way of noticing that the fabric of reality is more responsive than we think. To live with ECCO is to realize that guidance does not need temples or visions. It comes disguised in street signs, overheard words, shuffled timings. In one frame, this is the hand of God. In another, the field of the unconscious. In another, the resonance of quantum entanglement. In yet another, simply the mind's extended field meeting itself through circumstance. All are partial truths. None are final. What unites them is the same awe, that reality is not mute. It has voice. The voice is coincidence, and the message is tailored to the receiver. Beyond Lilly, the task is not to argue whether echo is literal. The task is to learn how to live as though coincidence could be meaningful without collapsing into madness, to walk the razor's edge between skepticism and reverence, to treat reality as potentially intelligent, without demanding it prove itself on your terms. In this way, Lilly's echo becomes universal. It is not tied to drugs, dolphins, or even Lilly himself. It is a symbol for the mystery of guidance that slips through probability and lands at your feet. Whether you call it echo, fate, destiny, providence, or code, the awe is the same. Something beyond you arranges the path, and your noticing is part of the design. So, we arrive at the final paradox. If echo is real, then nothing is random. Every coincidence, every interruption, every delay is part of a design. If echo is not real, then the mind is so vast, so creative, that it can project intelligence onto chance and weave meaning from pure noise. Either way, the conclusion is staggering. You live inside a reality that responds to you. To live as if echo is real is to shift how you walk through the world. Suddenly the trivial is charged. The bus that leaves early, the stranger who repeats your thought, the book that falls open to the exact page, all become threads in a dialogue. Life becomes mythic, not because you believe in fantasy, but because you experience reality as layered with intention. And yet, Echo never gives certainty. It never hands out final answers. It hands out hints, puzzles, contradictions. The purpose is not to solve life, but to awaken inside it, to feel the awe that comes when you realize you are being addressed by something that does not use words. Surrender, this is the razor's edge. You cannot surrender responsibility. Coincidences are not commands, they are invitations. The invitation is always the same. Pay attention. Respond with freedom. Grow. To what do you believe? That life is random noise, or that coincidences are signals? That you are the sole author of your fate? Or that you are a character in a curriculum too vast to comprehend? Both options unsettle. Both demand humility. The legacy of John Lilly is not that he proved Echo, but that he dared to live as if it were true. He treated reality as dialogue, not monologue. He turned chance into correspondence, accidents into messages, coincidences into teachers. He lived in awe, and awe is contagious. Perhaps that is the final lesson of Echo, that whether it exists or not, your willingness to notice changes everything. To see coincidences as invitations is to step into a larger story, a story in which your life is not private, not trivial, not wasted, but part of a cosmic conversation playing out across the fabric of time. So the question I leave you with is this: will you walk through your life as if it is random, static, or will you walk as if every alignment is a whisper from the universe, waiting for your reply? The answer you choose will not be random.